Hey guys, it's time for some weekly wisdom, and today we are going to be in Proverbs chapter 14, looking at verse 4. All right, let me read it for us, and then we'll dive into it. Proverbs 14:4 says, "Where there are no oxen, the manger is clean, but abundant crops come by the strength of the ox." This is one of many proverbs that speak to how we should think about and how wisdom informs the way that we should view work, any kind of work, whether it is related to your schoolwork or a sports team or your job, a career that you're pursuing, our Christian work and labor. It teaches us how we should think about that, how it informs it. And this one, like I said, it's one of many, but this one impacts me specifically because it really gets to the heart of and addresses a common excuse that I know I am personally prone to give when it comes to my willingness to work and willingness to do what it takes to get the job done and to provide the result that I want to provide. Here's what I really think this proverb is saying. It's following a kind of flow of thought. When you have no ox in the barn, it means that there's a clean manger. Now, you might remember from the Christmas story that Jesus was laid in a manger, right? Well, a manger is all it is. It's not some fancy bed. All it is the feeding trough. And so if you don't have an ox in the barn, you're not having to feed it. And so therefore, the trough, in some translations will even say the whole stall where you would keep the ox is clean. No, not dirty at all. But here's the problem. Without ox, you can't do the work necessary in order to bring about abundant crops at harvest time. So here's the problem. You might have a clean barn, but guess what? You also have an empty barn. That's the problem. So then the lesson trying to be taught in Proverbs 14:4 is this. To get a crop, you're going to need to endure a little messiness. We have a modern day proverb that goes a little something like this that is on this same thing. It's this. You have to spend money to make money. You go in to open a business or you want to start your own thing to make money. Well, guess what? In order to start something, you're going to have to spend something. And if you're not willing to spend something, you're not going to make anything. This is a proverb that actually shows true in all kinds of areas of our lives. I mean, let's just think through a couple scenarios where we would think that this shows true, right? If you want to perform well in your next race or in the next game that you're playing on your team, but you don't like the way that the running or the conditioning makes your body sore after you do it, so you don't do it. What's going to happen in the next race or in the next game? You're going to lose or you're going to let your team down because you weren't willing to endure the pain of the conditioning to get to a point where you would perform well. Or take maybe this example. It's time to apply for a job, but doing like an in-person interview with a manager that's older than you makes you a little nervous, and you don't like doing that. It makes you anxious. And so you only apply for jobs that only require a paper application that you turn in, and then you get a call that says, you got the job. Well, yeah, you might get a job, but at the end of the day, guess what? You're probably not going to get a job that you like very much. You're probably only going to be working at fast food your entire life. Sorry about that. But that's the point there, isn't it? Or let's take that a step further. Let's say you want to go into a career field, but the training that you have to do to go into that career field is going to require you to make some uncomfortable choices to go into that field. Like maybe it's going to have to change the way you spend money. Maybe it's going to change your schedule. You're going to have to be up late at night studying, getting ready, working hard. You're not going to be able to go to as many social gatherings as what you would have. Or maybe even this, sometimes career fields will require you to actually move locations to a different city. Listen to this, different state, sometimes a different country even. If you're not willing to do that, you might try to go into that career field, but you're probably not going to be very successful because you haven't had the training that you need to do that. We're getting this from the Bible, so let's think about this, how this proverb applies spiritually as well, right? Well, it does apply to us spiritually. Let's say you're a Christian and you know that you should be growing in your relationship with the Lord, and you say that you want to grow in your relationship with the Lord. but you're not really willing to sacrifice time on the weekends to be at church with the church family during a Sunday morning service, or you're not willing to maybe wake up a little earlier before school starts so that you can read from your Bible and pray, or you're not willing to take time out of other parts of your day in order to do those things, well, guess what? If you're not going to actually take the time to invest time in your relationship with the Lord, you probably shouldn't expect that your relationship with Him will grow at all. Here's the overall point of this proverb. A little discomfort is the cost of progress and productivity. A little discomfort is the cost of progress and productivity. And if you're not willing to pay that price, you should not expect to receive, as the proverb puts it, an abundance of crops. Guys, that's your weekly wisdom. I hope it's helpful for you. Next week, we'll be looking at somewhere in Proverbs 18. So if you want to get ready for that, read through Proverbs 18 a couple times, and we'll dive into part of that next week. We'll see you guys later.